think of the happiest things. It's the same as having wings. To the stars beyond the blue, there's a Neverland waiting for you. When you leave the world behind, you can fly. You can fly. You can fly.
Wendy's new chicken tenders are perfectly crispy and tender. And with a new side of Salsam sauce, they're even better. So now the question is,
to dip or not to dip?
For a limited time, try the new chicken tenders with fries and a drink for just $5. Only at Wendy's.
We're in Vancouver tonight. Welcome back. The USA are leading by a goal to nil. Alex Morgan, the scorer in the first half against a very competitive Canada side, and we'll break down the first half for you in just a moment or two. But we're going to have a little chat now about a very changing scene in women's world soccer. And it is changing. That's the top 10 at the moment, Julie.
And look at that, Netherlands up there, Australia creeping up there. And if you had any questions around whether there's a new world order, you just had to look to the European Championships this summer. I mean, look at those final 4 teams that were in there. You didn't see the Germanys, you didn't see the Swedens. Instead, it was the Dutch, the Netherlands, Denmark, Austria, England. I mean, all these different teams we typically haven't been seeing as dominant in Europe. And then, of course, Netherlands winning it all at home.
Yeah, and they've got the new World Player of the Year in Lieke Martens. A real revelation, unlike their men's team at the moment. Big struggle. Australia impressed us in the summer.
And we saw them at the Tournament of Nations, and this was a team who rallied with Sam Kerr, who just was destroying teams, beat the United States, Japan, Brazil, and looked confident. They're oozing with it behind her, and it's a young team, yet that's experienced as well.
Because there's Belgium, there's Spain, there's Denmark. We know about France. They've beaten the USA this year like this, and of course they'll be at home in the World Cup in 19 months' time.
Yeah, and this is a team in France. They're hosting, of course, the World Cup, and they've always been at that tipping point. Can they get over the hurdle? Because it is always a good team, technical team. We saw them beat the United States solidly, as you said, 3-0 this summer, but that's a good team when they're playing at home as well.
So it's going to be harder, isn't it, for the USA to retain the crown? And you're a bit worried about what's going on in the youth scene, aren't you?
Yeah, and we've talked with the men, of course, not qualifying for the World Cup about some of the struggles they've had, but I also worry about the women's side as well. When you look at the U20s and the U17, the last 4 World Cups for them, the U20s, they of course won in 2012, which is fabulous, but didn't medal in the other 3. And then look at the 17s, did not qualify in 2 of those.
That's and terrible, don't get out
of that's out of CONCACAF.
So what's wrong there?
And don't get out of the group stage. And it's something that I think we can't continue to gloss over. I mean, this is an issue that needs to be addressed both on the men's and the women's side, because as we know, the rest of the world is getting better, and especially on the women's side.
It's not like there's not quite a lot of investment as well.
Yeah, and especially for CONCACAF, unlike the men where they're investing in CONCACAF teams, you're not seeing that on the women's side. So getting out of CONCACAF should be an automatic for our youth teams. See if they can brush up that record. When we come back in a moment, we'll look back on the highlights of the first half, including that goal from Alex Morgan that has put the USA ahead here. But it's no formality here in Vancouver for the US tonight.
There's nothing quite as magical as staying at a Disney Resort hotel. So imagine complimentary rides to and from the park, even extra time with your family in the park. And now create a 6-night, 7-day package including a select Walt Disney World Resort hotel room and theme park tickets for as little as $96 per person per day for a family of 4.
We're in Vancouver tonight. Ian Darke and Julie Foudy with you. You're watching US Women's National Team Soccer in a very feisty and competitive game it is too here at BC Place in Vancouver, the beautiful city of Vancouver. What were your thoughts on that first half. I mean, it seemed to me like possession had to be quarried at times.
And it took some time for the U.S. to settle in. I think that first 20, 30 minutes, Canada's pressing. They got most of the play. I think they're going to feel a bit disappointed they didn't come out with a goal in that first half. But they're in this, and they're playing with some confidence. And so I think the United States gets really fortunate off against the run of play. Alex Morgan just does what she's been doing so well in the second half of this year and puts one ahead for them.
Let's have a look back at some of the highlights. If you're a bit late tuning in, you can see how the story unfolded here tonight.
And this is Casey Short just keeping this ball alive. And this is what we've seen with Alex with this renewed confidence is she just needs a little bit of a window, a half look, knocks it down, gets the benefit of the deflection, but has been so good in sniffing those out as of late. And then Haran with the free kick, trying to make it 2-0. LeBay with a great save to keep him just at 1 at the halftime. But really,
Rapinoe hit the inside of the post as well. And then this late chance in the half for Rebecca Quinn for Canada.
And first rule of thumb is you always got to head it back where it came from. If she goes maybe to that other side, that could be a goal for Canada.
Here we are.
And there it is. Look at it. Outshot the United States almost by twice as many. And so they're going to be disappointed they didn't come out with a goal in that first half. But you know there's a lot left in them with this home crowd.
Certainly a good test of the U.S. defence tonight because Canada have looked a bit of a threat. If they can get Christine Sinclair on the end of one, they might be in a bit of business. It promises to be a very good second half here in Vancouver. We do hope you can rejoin us in just a moment or two. Welcome back to Vancouver. The U.S. team on their way out for the second half with a 1-0 lead over Canada. Familiar territory, really. This is the 57th meeting. The U.S. have played no other country as many times as their northern neighbours. Huge turnout from the Canadian public. Massive publicity for this game, and I think they were secretly hoping that Canada would get a first ever home win over the US, and they still might. It's close, and Canada had their moments in that first half, but it was Alex Morgan's goal that separates the teams. What can we expect in the second half, Julie?
Well, I think you're going to see a team in the United States that wants to try and settle it, and that's the challenge of this turf. It's bouncy, it's unsettling. You could see they lacked a little bit of a rhythm there in that first half. And it's constantly on this turf. You feel like it's up at your waist. You're trying to get it down, and that gets frustrating as well. But I'm sure the United States was talking about how can we hold the ball, get a bit more rhythm here, and then separate so that the crowd isn't brought back into this game. Because this loud can get rowdy, as we heard in the beginning of this game.
Christine Sinclair, who we've been hearing, is very, very good with the youngsters that are being brought into the squad. Far from seeing them as rivals for her plays, she's massively encouraging, and of course some of them are a bit overwhelmed to meet her. They all grew up watching her as kids when they were toddlers. She's been in the team that long.
I mean, she's just a legend, obviously, here in Canada and for the women's game. And just equally important, one of those classy human beings you love to see do well.
Good football there, Mewis. Back to Julie Ertz, who did have the misfortune to concede an own goal in the stadium in that World Cup final. Fair to say the US had things pretty much under control at the time with a 4-0 lead in 16 minutes. Sinclair looking to play the 1-2 with Leon, who came on as a substitute in the first half. Chapman helping it forward this time. I'm sure both coaches will have stressed the need to their players to just keep the ball a little bit better in the second half. It's wondrous how many dividends that simple advice can pay. Sometimes it's easier said than done, though, when the game's being played on a surface like this at this kind of breakneck speed. Quinn was always looking to go long, fancies herself as a long-range passer. It's a good nod on from Sinclair to Adriana Leon. It's a nice ball to the back post there. And maybe Janine Becky might have gambled a little more.
And again, you're seeing when they do choose to go long, they're having some success with that. Now they've got Sinclair as the target up front, where Leon's just running off her.
Definitely, Sinclair definitely further forward now, isn't she, when she started the game. Prince playing a bit more to the right.
Yeah, when they pulled Rose out, Prince moved right and Sinclair up front. And I think it gave him the boost, because we saw Becky in that midfield in the number 10. She's sitting in that high attacking center midfield position. Janine Becky, number 16 for Canada, doing so well in there.
Not really cleared by O'Hara. Quinn, again looking to play on a broad canvas. Sometimes you just wonder about that decision making, because although it's like Hollywood passing long range, sometimes maybe just better to play something a bit shorter range. Now then, Adriana Leon has done pretty well since she's come on. Got the better of Dahlkemper. Really good covering though from O'Hara.
Gave her a little stare down after that as well. O'Hara getting all the way back. What a good recovery run that is. Just pinched in for Dahlkemper to cover for. Leon's been busy. She's been active, creating some problems.
Here comes the corner kick. Ertz got a head to it. Rapinoe getting it away. She's only fitfully in the game, Megan Rapinoe. Ideally, they'd like to get her involved a little bit more. Shorts, attempted clearances, charged down. In the last year, 34 players have played for the US women's team. There have been 13 debutants. Just a sign of how much Jill Ellis is looking around, trying to find the right players to take forward into the championship years of 2019, the World Cup in 2020, the Olympic Games in Japan.
Yeah, and the difference this time around, though, is she's doing it against teams like France and Germany and England, and they weren't getting that result. So you have that added pressure of, gosh, you're experimenting and you're now not winning.
Lynn Williams. And to Kelly O'Hara, who's done some good work in that right back position on this, the occasion of her 103rd cap. Plays for Sky Blue. She was unfit for most of that She Believes Cup earlier on in the year. Leon's attempted ball in again. O'Hara in the right place to cut that one out. Good work from Mewis. Look at the pressure on the ball from Canada. Mewis, we'll see what she was trying to do, but there was never a chance that Rapinoe was going to get onto that one. Not trying to bring the ball out from the back, Rebecca Quinn, and again that's a nice ball from her that time. Just looking to start off the attacks. Sinclair wide. Here's Leon. Chapman's made a run into that inside left channel. Played towards the back post, and Janine Becky there couldn't control the volley.
What a good ball that is. Leon causing some problems on this left flank. And she sees Becky wide open on that back post, just opens up her hips a little too much. But she almost taken that with her instep there. But that's a midfielder. No one's tracking, and they're getting those numbers forward for Canada.
Canada wanting to play out from the back. Zadorsky doing that. Flicked on by Sinclair. Sabran had read it all, as she has done for many years now in that US defense. Sometimes you wonder what it'd be like without her. The lady from St. Louis. Moran. This is Dahlkemper. Miscue, frankly. Sinclair again wins the headers as she does so often.
And those are the balls, right? With Dahlkemper, no pressure on you that you just got to keep. You got to have a little bit more patience, and that's where you want to see a Horan come into the game who's so good in tight spaces under pressure and hold it and settle it and make Canada chase, tire them out. But those little technical mistakes of giving away the ball too easily, and then you're chasing instead, just start to gnaw at you.
Short. Easily cut out by Lawrence for Canada. Oh, and really good opportunity to break. And Prince couldn't control the ball. Watch the Audi 2017 MLS Cup playoffs, the Eastern Conference Championship first leg, Columbus Crew against Toronto. That's Tuesday, November the 21st. November the 21st, then 8 o'clock in the evening Eastern time for that. And the Western Conference Championship game is Seattle against Houston. That's Thursday, November the 30th at 10 p.m. Eastern on ESPN 2. Way through for Williams. Carly Lloyd, meanwhile, is being warmed up by the US. Can't wait to get out there. She has been out for a few months now with a foot injury.
That's Ashlyn Harris next to her as well. That's interesting.
Not going to change the goalkeeper, are they?
Yeah, right? That's what I was just thinking. That's strange. Maybe she just wants to get a little fitness in. Get a little sweat on.
Unless Naya's got a problem, we haven't certainly noticed it. Sinclair to lay it back again. She's played in 4 World Cups and 3 Olympics, Christine Sinclair. Chapman. Meat and drink really for that defence to deal with that one, but there's another chance for Canada to build. And a cute little ball. Jessie Fleming has taken the eye all night long really with her work in that midfield.
She's been great in that midfield. Jessie Fleming plays for UCLA, one of their 6 teenagers, the 19-year-old missing the game against San Diego State tomorrow, which is the first round of the NCAA tournament for UCLA.
Becky from long range. Well, it was a save really that Naya had to make, and she did.
Janine Becky loves to get in that little seam, and she's constantly looking. I love the idea behind that, thinking I can just bend this one in, but Naya are all over that. Just needed maybe a little bit more on that one, but you can see the idea behind it.
It results in this Canada corner. Towards the back post, headed in by Quinn again. Lawrence won it. Oh, and off the underside of the bar by Rebecca Quinn. And helped in. Canada have their equaliser. The ball had come back off the underside of the bar and is poked in by Leon. Well, a twist in the plot.
Taking this all the way back. Quinn again just wide open on that back post. Gets this one on frame. And she knows, I've got it. If I can get it to that back post, Sinclair able to keep it alive. And Leon does so well. Watch her on the bottom of your screen. She's following that one all the way in. Sniffing that one down. Ready for the rebound. And she is there beating every U.S. player to that ball.
Look at John Herdman's celebrations at that. Adriana Leon, who came on as a substitute in the first half and has played very, very well since she did come on. And now rewarded with a goal as well.
And anticipating that. She's moving to that. She's getting there. So she knows before Sinclair even had a touch on it, she started breaking to goal. Those little movements by goal scorers.
It looked like Sinclair's effort might have been on its way in anyway as well. But I think it did need finishing off to make certain. Well, everybody in this stadium, and the vast majority, of course, supporting Canada, now believe that they can create a bit of history tonight. A 7th goal for Canada. Away by Casey Short, up towards Alex Morgan. They've been breathing fire all night long, the Canadians, and now they have a reward for their efforts. Sauerbrunn with a strong run. She is impeded, no question about it. Becky's challenge, and she gets a yellow card for that one.
As she should. That was a bit nasty. Ertz coming through midfield. No chance, I think, of getting that ball. Catches her ankle as well.
And there's going to be just a little break in the play here. Everybody's going to rehydrate.
And this is how good Julie Ertz has been to this team since they've moved her into that center midfield position in July of this year. Mind you, she'd been a center back most of her national team career. 5 goals in her last 6 games. And as you can see, now her last 7, just some goal scorers finishing too. It's just some great goals.
And she'd scored 8 in the previous 49 as well. So the goal scoring is a new phenomenon, really, from Julie Ertz, Julie Johnson that was.
And the impact she made when she came in as a sub, when they were down 3-1 against Brazil in that Tournament of Nations. That would have been their 4th home loss of the year, which they've never done in a calendar year. And instead, Ertz comes in and almost single-handedly turned that game around.
This one's on a knife edge now. Short to play the ball in towards Morgan. Well, this is the Canada goal again, off the underside of the bar by Rebecca Quinn, back in by Sinclair, and I think she was onside, okay? Adriana Leon. Yeah, no problem. 1-1. Look at those faces. Doesn't really need a caption. Chapman. Good work from here. Becky once more. Canada at the moment playing like young ladies inspired. And the US have to stay with this. It's a good contest.
And this is another interesting little chess play, because you've got, the depth of the United States off their bench with some fresh legs they can bring in, and can Canada match that? There's not many teams in this globe who can match the depth of the United States.
Flipped on by Horan in that midfield, picked up by Janine Becky. Good ball from her. Lawrence to Prince. Got the wrong side of short for a moment there. Still Prince. Lays it back, not accurately enough. And Sam Lewis is able to get it away for the US. But another threatening attack from the Canadians.
And the crowd is roaring. You can hear it.
The US certainly know they're away from home here, even if it is just over the border. I must say, I'm pretty impressed with this Rebecca Quinn for Canada. She looks like she's going to be a top player at some point in the future. Obviously, her decision making might improve a bit, but look at that for a pass. Chapman.
And Quinn not even in what John Herdman thinks is her best position. He said she's going to lock down when Buchanan is back, that holding center midfield position. And talking to Carla Overbeck, the assistant coach at Duke, she said not having Quinn in the ACC final against North Carolina was just a killer, because she plays in the midfield for them and links the entire team.
She's only 22 as well. Already 32 caps, including tonight's, for her.
And she also is missing that first round game of the tournament against UNCG, is who Duke has in that first round.
Cut out by Jessie Fleming. Movement ahead of her. Prince will have to work. Becky's waiting in the middle. It's over her head. Difficult. O'Hara showed enough composure. Lynn Williams, who hasn't really been able to get into things as often as the US would like. Good ball towards Morgan, just beyond her. Rapinoe can't keep that in play. It would be true that both the wide players for the US, Rapinoe on the left and Williams on the right, have only fitfully been involved. And there's going to be a change. Carly Lloyd is going to come on to replace Sam Lewis.
I think that's a great switch. Mewis has logged a lot of minutes between club and country this year, giving away a few too many balls too easily in the midfield, and Lloyd's going to bring in a bite, and of course that scoring presence as we saw 2 years ago at this very field.
A hat-trick inside the first 16 minutes of a game she will never, ever forget. Including one from just about the halfway line. Good challenge. Juliet's won the ball back. That was vital too. It's Rapinoe. Oh, it took a deflection. That is a very good save from the goalkeeper, who had to readjust Labbe there and got something on it vitally.
Wow, how hard is that with the deflection? And it all starts with Ertz with that great tackle in midfield. And Rapinoe, when she gives a little space, right, she knows, even if I can get a little deflection here, Labbe does so well. When that takes just that little deflection, so hard to save those.
That's going to be Megan Rapinoe's last contribution. She's going to be replaced by Kristen Press of the Chicago club. Nearly scored tonight a couple of times. And one other change. Taylor Smith coming on to replace Casey Short. This is the US's goal from earlier on, scored by Alex Morgan.
Just got a little touch on it with her head, little deflection off Quinn.
Here's Morgan. You wonder really whether this breathless pace might tell on one side or the other late on here.
Well, then you go back to that depth issue, right? You got Taylor Smith, who brings incredible pace and speed now at that right outside back position. And that's a matchup against Chapman, who's on the left side of Canada, that I think they want to exploit. Kelly O'Hara moved over to the left side. You've got Kristen Press who comes in, Carly Lloyd. I mean, some great finishers in those two.
Another good challenge for me from Juliet, but the referee didn't like it.
I really like Janine Becky in that midfield position. When she switched in there, all of a sudden, she's pulling the strings for them with Fleming. Those two younger players have a ton of promise for Canada.
Dahlkemper across to Sauerbrunn. Those two set in stone, really, as the central defenders at the moment. Pretty easy to cut out. There's Jessie Fleming again. He has that priceless quality of having wing mirrors, which you need in central midfield. Seems to know where the space is, doesn't she?
And she's calm under that pressure there. She just seems to wiggle out of it at 19. Some nice composure to have.
Sinclair. That's well out by Nair, had read it all. Coran. Miss Taylor-Smith. Herdman, the coach, thought that had gone out of play. It hadn't. Fleming again. Hard to believe she's only 19. Plays for the UCLA Bruins. Got a good one there, I think.
Absolutely. Got a lot of good teenagers on that Canadian team.
Here she is again. Lawrence to play the ball in. Chapman had got in there. It was good play to get that one away from Dahlkemper.
Good little test now for Nair on this one.
Canada perhaps feeling that the hand of destiny might be with them. Ball is swung in and well defended from the US, but it's coming straight back again. Chapman, speculative more than anything. Dahlkemper's header looked like a handball that time by Fleming. And this game, testament really to the fitness levels of both of these teams. It's really been a very, very fast-paced game. Sometimes that's just affected the quality a little bit.
Yep.
And a debut coming up here for Megan Kelly, who plays for Kansas City at the age of 25. She can play as a fullback or in midfield or as a forward. 5 goals for her club. So that's an interesting change. Yet another debutant for the USA, the 14th in the last 13 months. Leon, the goal scorer. And he's got a taste for it now. Some people, I think, when they saw the net ripple, thought that was in one part of the stadium, but it was always going over.
Leon's been active tonight, hasn't she? Running at that back line, scrapping on defense. She's put in a shift. Done very well. I think that's worth a try.
I've got to say, this is a very useful Canadian team. They've got a youngster. I don't know if we're going to see her tonight. Jordan Heitema, who we spoke to last night. She's only 16. He's already scored a couple of goals. Stories tonight on ESPNW about tonight's game, the return to Vancouver of the women's team. Hannah Storm on her Danica Patrick documentary, and Flanagan becomes the first American woman to win the New York City Marathon in 40 years.
We were talking earlier about the role that Carly's going to play, having been the team's leading scorer in 14, 15, 16, only one goal this year, some of that due to injury. But this is going to be an interesting development to watch. At 35, World Cup at 37, and you know she's going to play a role for sure. She even said yesterday when I was talking to her, she said, I know there's doubters out there. And this is what you love about Carly Lloyd. She said, I don't care. When her back is pressed against the wall, she says, I'm going to prove that I can defy all those age theories.
It's a kind of similar situation to Clint Dempsey with the men's team, isn't it?
And based on what she's done in her 30s, she's doubled her scoring rate. I believe her.
She's been a fantastic player for the US and deserved global recognition for what she's done. Certainly be to the US's benefit if she can stay at the top level for another couple more years, get to the next World Cup. Andy Sullivan coming on for only her 6th cap from Stamford, Julie.
Yes. I wasn't going to say it, Darky. I was going to let you say it. This is a great kid. Love to see her back because she had such a good start to her national team career and then sadly tore her ACL in the playoffs of the NCAA tournament last year and is just getting back from that. Doing really well in her senior year at Stanford.
It's an almost new chorus line out there for the US now. A lot of changes in a very short amount of time, which will involve some reorganization as well. There we are.
Huh? Look at that. I'm waiting for the text from Brandy Chastain. How come you're always just talking about your Stanford group? What about my Santa Clara group? Or the UNC crowd?
Yeah, I got a feeling your phone's going to be ringing once we're off the air tonight. Here's Williams. He stayed on. It's a good run, but Zadorsky did enough there to make sure nothing more came of it. It will be a corner.
Williams been a little bit quiet in this half, but this is the danger that she can bring to a lineup. She just, with that pace, can get in behind. We haven't seen much of it, but especially in these final 15 minutes, she just becomes so dangerous.
It's Dahlkemper, the central defender, taking the corner. Horan attacked it, couldn't get it goalwards. Back it comes in again from Dahlkemper, goes an awful long way. Sullivan played in. Morgan! Twice running blocked. Could have been 2-1 to the US easily. Here is Andy Sullivan. Kelly O'Hara's now on the left side. Lindsay Horan stays out there. This time Chapman with a poor header, frankly. Lynn Williams. Carly Lloyd. We've had to ride a little bit of a storm here in the second half. Well, it's a loose ball that time by Lloyd. Played Dahlkemper into trouble. But a chance for the US just now.
Sullivan popping it back into Morgan. And those are ones that she can get on the end of. What a nice ball in by Sullivan across, though.
She'll be kicking herself, I think, as a scorer on that one. Alex Morgan, certainly when she looks at it again. easy from up here, isn't it? It's Zadorsky. Christine Sinclair won the battle, and Dial Kemper does the rest for the US, but it's quickly picked up again, this time by Lawrence, complete with her natty pink boots. Got to be good to wear those. It's going to be a free kick.
I certainly wasn't wearing any pink boots back in the day.
Well, there's a half-hearted appeal here for a handball in the box. No. Just hit the thigh, didn't it? Was a half-hearted appeal. Janine Becky to play this one in. Sinclair won the header. Lawrence had a go, but it was a bit of an air shot from her. There was something on for her on the volley as that dropped. It would have taken something very good.
Just missed it a little bit.
"12 minutes remaining. Canada 1, the USA 1. The Canadian fans will certainly be encouraged by what they're seeing from their team. They've certainly made more of an impression than any Canada men's team in recent memory. 2 Olympic bronze medals, making them stars. They were knocked out of the World Cup, which they hosted in this stadium against England. Sinclair scored in that one as well, but it wasn't enough. Yellow card for that challenge, and this is why.
Just accidentally clipped her on the way in there, but O'Hara pressing still in the 80th minute. Still has the legs to get forward on that flank.
Played in towards Horan is offside there. The moment that Andy Sullivan looked to get involved. Megan Kelly it was, by the way, who got that yellow card, just to clear that one up.
And you see Canada just slowing down a little bit. You see a little bit of fatigue. More fresh legs out there for the United States making more changes, and how that plays a role in these final 10 minutes will be interesting to see.
Yeah, that's the art of the coach, to get that right. You can sometimes disrupt the rhythm of the team. And Canada have thrown so much at this game, that is the risk for them. They'll want to get something from this, even if it is just the draw. And if we got a draw, I think is a very good result against the top team. Fleming plays this one back, is Quinn again. Risky, but she pulled it off once again. A very, very confident young player. Ashley Lawrence chipping it in. Not a good headed clearance. It's come to Leon. He's the goal scorer again. That's well played by Taylor Smith, who's a big doubt for these 2 games because of her shoulder injury. Looks like she's okay again.
Yeah, great to see her out there, because that was a nasty injury she took in the first few minutes of the NWSL final. Her shoulder.
And the Canadians again, and the cross shot is easily coped with in the end. Megan Kelly involved in the action quite a bit just recently. Yellow card, and then this from her, looking to make an impression on debut. Lloyd to lay it forwards to Morgan. Horan. 4 red shirts around her. Canada have worked so hard in this game. The US too, it should be said though. Morgan won't be able to get on to that one. O'Hara's ball through to her. Looks fitter now, doesn't she, Alex Morgan? I think in the summer she was still struggling to get full sharpness.
Yeah, and I think she was bouncing around with those injuries and struggling to get back from that. And you can see when she's healthy the damage she can impose on teams. 9 goals in her last 12 games with Orlando, helping them get into the playoffs and the semifinal. Co-leads the team with 5 goals for the U.S. this year.
Horan trying to find Morgan. Quinn got it away. Williams picked it up. She still looks pretty fresh. Just not the quality of ball that was required. A little bit of a frustrating one down that right-hand side for the USA. Apart from the 3 wins Canada have had over the United States, they've only had 6 draws along the way as well. 47 of the previous 47 meetings have ended in US wins. Kelly again, much involved since she came on. Back to Leon. Desiree Scott. And Kelly's in here! Is it a debut goal for her? Off the post and away! Well, Canada could have won it right there. And what a story that would have been for Megan Kelly.
Desiree Scott looks him away to the right, then comes back to the left, and she's able to find that seam between Smith and Dahlkomper. Takes it down nicely as well. Nair does so well to come out, get a hand on it, cut that angle. Nice save by Nair there. Just gets a little something on it. And look at that gap.
What a pass that is from Desiree Scott, by the way. What a save, as it turned out. She just got a fingertip on that.
Yeah, and she did well to come, cut the angle. She doesn't come, she's able to let that drop a little bit, slide. But Scott looks him off right and then just places that in perfectly to Kelly. How about that, as you said, for your debut? If that's your first cap and you're getting the potential game winner when the Canadian team hasn't beat them in 16 years.
There's a player down injured, and while that's all going on, Alex Morgan needing a bit of treatment, all the Canadian substitutes are orchestrating the crowd and trying to whip up a bit of a storm. Five minutes remaining, struggling a little bit. Alex Morgan, bit of a wince from her, wants to get back out there though. Smith did pretty well when she was brought in for the Tournament of Nations games. Took the eye, got better every game. Another option in the fullback positions. Here's Lynn Williams. Kelly O'Hara, good looking ball in towards Carly Lloyd, who can't quite reach it.
O'Hara sees this too. Takes a look, sees Lloyd, she's got her hand in the air. Just a little too much on it, but the right idea there.
Good pick out from Kelly O'Hara there to pick up that run. It's one of those games this that could still you sense go either way. Couldn't have been played any harder, I think, by these two countries if it was a World Cup match. There seemed to be that much on it, certainly from the Canadian perspective, and the US, I think, are pretty aware of the plot line and not going to play the fall ladies, as it were. Ali Long has been introduced for Lynn Williams in the latest change to the cast.
They pushed Carly Lloyd up high when Long came into the middle.
Lawrence going a long way, and was that the best option? Kristen Press hasn't been able to get into the game since she came on that left-hand side. Canada are pushing players forward at every opportunity, but there they've given the ball away. Out on by Fleming. Horan. Now Press can get involved. Morgan's waiting in the middle. It's Kristen Press, who was just looking to buy half a yard and get a shot away. Just overran it. Heavy touch. Christine Sinclair, who's down injured, by the way, knocked to the head by the look of things. Has the referee passed the audition for the World Cup, by the way? Not that you decide, Julie, of course.
I'm going to be the decider. Here's a little inadvertent elbow, it looks like, to the head there. What a good win by Becky Sauerbrunn there. No malintent. I think she has passed. I think she could have given a card in there, but on that one tug we talked about earlier, but I think she's been all right. We haven't been talking about her too much.
Yeah, it hasn't been an easy game to control either.
No, and it's
tough one to control. It's good test.
Yep. It's loud. There's good crowd noise.
Coming to the final act of the drama, and we are going to see the very promising 16-year-old Jordan Haitema, who's given 16 tickets to her family and friends. She only lives in a town 75 minutes drive from here. She's already scored 2 in a game against Costa Rica. 16 years old, big, tall, central striker.
She's telling Sinclair as she came on to jump into that 10, so Sinclair's back into the midfield. She often actually subs in for Sinclair,
who was her idol as a little girl. Desiree Scott doing well there, right place to break it all up. Just a bit too muscular with the challenge. Kelly O'Hara's had a good game tonight for the US for me.
And the impressive thing is as the games wore on, her impact on the game has gotten even stronger. We've seen her in these last 15 minutes flying down that flank, serving balls in.
US have already made 5 substitutions, Canada only 3. Maybe a little bit of a sign that John Herdman didn't want to change too much, like the way his side were doing. Kelly, no problem this time for Alicia Neyer. Into the added time now. I think on the balance of this, a draw would be a fair result, which isn't to say a draw will be the result.
And, you know, for Canada, if they get that draw...
Oh, there's a mistake there, and here is Haitema. More good play by Leon. Fleming. Not this time for Canada down that right-hand side. Kelly it was.
Sullivan knows, obviously, if she can let that one go out, it's going for the goal kick. But Canada knows they've been in this game. They fought back. I think that's a great sign. They fought back from being down 1-0 in the past. You know, when you go down against the U.S. team, mentally that plays its role and toll on the team. They fight back in it. They had their chances. Neyer comes up with a huge save against Megan Kelly.
Taylor Smith gets it away for the US. Maybe Jill Ellis would take the draw at this stage. Both teams have hit the woodwork as well tonight. Chapman with the throw, not properly cleared. It gives Canada maybe one last opportunity. Chapman, got by Long, I think it was, on the way through Sinclair. Sargent's header, then O'Hara, and the decision goes the US's way. Yeah, she thought Haitema fouled her, and that's exactly what the referee thinks as well.
Coming in with that big hip check at 16 years old.
I say, not so sweet 16 there.
You already know that one at 16. I think that's a good sign.
Quinn just looking a little more tired there, as she just was content to put that into touch. She hasn't chosen that option very much. Nearly there, nearly the 3 minutes played, and there will be another little hold up here because Canada have Haitema needing a bit of treatment. Katai. That's quite a nasty cut as well, isn't it?
Yeah, it looked deep, didn't it?
Yeah. That's where she's from, Chilliwack. I was going to say just up the road, but it's a bit further than that.
When we asked her yesterday if how it was coming in for someone like Sinclair after she said she had her on her wall growing up.
Yeah.
She was adorable, wasn't she? With his big grin, and she says, "It's like this dream. I have to pinch myself."
She was so mature and confident.
Yeah,
wasn't she?
There was no way I was like that at 16.
Yeah.
Really well spoken. We said to John Herdman after that, that's a mature 16-year-old.
Here's how this happened in this collision with Kelly O'Hara. Yeah, maybe the elbow caught her. It was 6-1. Oh, there, right at the end.
Yeah, right there, coming down.
Yeah, it was the second bit, wasn't it, that caused the damage. USA looking to steal it late as that long throw comes in. We're now in the time, beyond the time, as it were, added on just for that last injury. Away by Chapman. Player of the match for me, Jessie Fleming of Canada.
Yeah, she's had a great game in midfield.
Sinclair plays it on. Haitema. That is full time. It is a draw. And Canada, who've had their noses rubbed in it so many times, not this time. Fight back. Alex Morgan here, giving the USA the lead. The 7th time she scored against Canada. She hasn't scored more against any other nation in her distinguished career, but a deserved equaliser, I think you have to say, from Adriana Leon for the Canadians, who also hit the post. The USA did as well. It's a 1-1 draw here in what was an engrossing game between the two North American rivals. More when we come back in a moment.
Get unlimited data for $25 a month when you add a line to the Cricket Unlimited 2 plan. Plus, get a free smartphone when you switch. All on a network that covers over 99% of Americans. Cricket Wireless, something to smile about.
Playoff game, Eastern Conference Championship first leg, Columbus Crew against Toronto. That's Tuesday, November the 21st at 8 o'clock in the evening, Eastern Time. Here tonight in Vancouver, our final score of Canada 1, the United States 1 in what was a fiery, full-throttled contest tonight. Some really good performances, I think, on both sides. Still no win for the Canadians over the US, still a 16-year wait some of the highlights going through. Coming up next, it'll be Nation ESPN, presented by Toyota. From me, Ian Dark, and Julie Fowdy, good night, thanks for watching.